Good morning, friends. Welcome back to the farm. We are out here to plant up our tulips. Now, I don't have enough crates. Well, I'll take that back. I actually do have enough crates, but my crates are storing things, and I really don't want to displace all that stuff right now. So I have 5 crates currently sitting out here, and they are ready to go. We have lined them, almost all of them, with paper and added a layer of soil at the bottom, about 2 inches. We will place all the tulips in there and then cover them with soil and put a stake in there. Last year, well, actually, for multiple years, I've been using the tags that come on these bags of tulips, just attaching it to a stake, and that's been the, what tells me what it is. But last year, when I did that, the sun bleached the tags completely, which had never happened before. So they may be making them on different paper, whatever. So this year, I actually am going to just write out the name on the tags. It's not a big deal. Okay, so like I said, then we'll cover them with soil and we will leave them be. It's going to rain starting tomorrow. They'll get plenty of water. And I will monitor the soil levels because they are in crates. Some of the soil will wash out. We have plenty of compost. I'll just keep topping them up as they need to be topped up. Now we have, like I said, I have 5 crates, but we have 700 bulbs. So I'm definitely going to need to find more space or sacrifice some crates. I'll look again in the greenhouse and see if I can organize things in there, in the greenhouse, in the shed, and see if I can organize things in there enough to use some of those crates. But I don't know that I'll be able to get 100 bulbs in each crate. So we may end up needing more space, but we also have a lot of bed space. I just kind of didn't want to put them in the beds because even though they're protected from below by the gopher cage, they're not protected from above. And yeah, so we'll see. We'll at least get started and see what we've got. And then I may have to make some adjustments and figure out some other stuff. So varieties. Like I said, these do have tags with photos, but the photos are very overexposed. So I think what I'll do is I will pop up some photos here for you so that you have an idea of what these look like, because the tags are either bleached out or way overexposed and you'll have no idea of the color. So the first variety we have here, and also these tags do not say if they are early, mid, or late. So I will look that up and put the text under the photo as well. And photo credit is going to go to Leo Burby, which is where I got these all these tulip bulbs. So photo credit to them. These are their photos, not my photos. Okay, the first one is Hui Ten Bosch. It is a fringed tulip. It's pink with a little bit of like apricot, lighter pink at the base. And in general, I like to get tulips that get 16 inches high or higher. So 16, 18, 20, 24. Anything less than that is really, really hard to use in bouquets. It's great for vases. You could do 10 and 12 inch ones for vases, but I sell hand wrap bouquets for the most part for my my customers, and so I need long stems. So a lot of these choices are based on the stem length, and because cut flower growers grow tulips as annuals, we are not saving these over year after year, which is why you always see us planting them every year. Also, tulips tend to not naturalize very well in zones like 6 and up. They'll come back somewhat, but not that much. So you kind of have to plant tulips a lot. And so anyway, when I harvest these in the spring, we'll be pulling them up, bulb and all, which is why we put them in crates, because then we can just dump that. The bulbs, because we're harvesting them as the flowers, taking the whole stem, even if we left the bulbs in the crates, there would be no foliage to reinvigorate those bulbs, and they wouldn't come back anyway. So if you're harvesting them from cut flowers, those bulbs are then composted. They won't come back because there's no way for them to regenerate themselves. All right, that's just a primer on why we do it this way. Okay, so that's, and there's 100 of each of these varieties. So that's one. The next one is called Big Smile. Now this one has a photo that's a little easier to see. It is a single late tulip. The other thing I do when I order is I make sure to span the range from early to late. So I have some that will cover the whole season, and I'll get more extended harvest instead of everything all at once. However, a lot of that depends on the weather. And this year, I did what I always do, and I got, you know, varieties to cover all those options, but everything bloomed at once. And without a cooler, I was really in a tough spot. I ended up packing our refrigerator full of tulips for weeks and weeks so that I could get an extended harvest out of there. Tulips are amazing in a cooler. You can keep them around 40 degrees, just as at the cracking bud stage. So just as they start to show color on their bud, if you harvest them then and put them in a cooler, they'll keep for weeks and weeks and weeks. They will start to look dehydrated. They'll get floppy and stuff, but that's easy to cure. You just put them in water when you're ready, and they will perk right back up and then act like you just harvested them. So it's an amazing thing. This year, I am going to have a cooler, not a walk-in cooler. I don't have a place to put it, and I can't afford that right now. So what we're actually gonna do is something a little bit less expensive. We are going to rent a climate-controlled storage unit just up the road here, and we're gonna get a couple of cheap refrigerators off of Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, and we'll be storing flowers in there. I won't need that until probably late February, early March, and so I'm not gonna start paying for something like that now, but that is the plan, because at least then I'll have some place to keep these guys and extend the life, and that helps me with profitability as well, so then stems don't go to waste. Okay, moving on. The next one, and I've grown this one before, it's really pretty, Godojnik Double. And this one is a double tulip, but on the tag it says it's a late variety. So sometimes they're marked, sometimes they aren't. Then we have one that I grow every year. This is a Darwin hybrid. It is Apricot Pride. I love this one. It's so simple, but it's so pretty, and its color goes with so many other colors. It's so great. It's really pretty with like blue hyacinths in an arrangement. It's lovely. Next we have Dordogne. I've also grown this one before, similar to Apricot Pride, but different, just different enough. And I'm pretty sure, I'll look it up, but I think they might be different time periods in that early, middle to late thing. Okay, then we have Appeldorn. I've also grown this a bunch of times. And you'll note the majority of what I'm doing here is Darwin hybrids. The only fancy one we have is that very first one we talked about. I have found that the fancy ones they don't do as well for me, and they also are sometimes harder to put in display in hand bouquets. The basic Darwin hybrid tulip really is pretty easy to work with in a lot of different applications. So that's why I'm sticking to that one for the most part. And then the final one we have is jumbo white, just a pure crystal white tulip. Okay, so now that we've got these crates started, I do need to get my labels started, but let me show you how we are going to plant up these crates. So here we have our crate. It's lined with some craft paper. That's all I had. I've been trying to collect newspaper coming in the mail, but as you probably know, not much newspaper gets distributed these days. So we've got about 2 inches of soil in the bottom. That's just to help with roots. And we've got our bag here of jumbo white. I'm just gonna dump a bunch in here. It's been a long time since I've planted in crates. I don't know how many we'll be able to fit, but we'll start here. So all we're gonna do is start popping them in close together. And we always say this is like eggs in a carton. They do not need a huge amount of space because it's not like the bulbs are going to grow. We're not leaving them in here to naturalize. And so they don't need a bunch of space in between. Now, if you put them in the ground like this and you expect them to come back year after year, that might be more of a struggle. You'll need to give them more space. But for this purpose, it's just fine. So we just sit them nice and close together like this. And you want to put them in root side. You can see this little knot there, and down and pointy side up. If you plant them upside down, will they still bloom? Yes, they will still bloom. They'll find their way, but your stem will be a lot shorter because it has to, if you plant it like this, the stem has to do a loop up and around to get up to the surface, and it'll be shorter than it would otherwise be if you plant them like this. So yeah, it takes a little bit longer. And if you're in a rush, you can just dump them and go. But I recommend, if you have the time, to spend a few minutes getting these guys set up. Now, when we're doing this in the ground, in general, we'll dig a big trench and pop them in and then cover them with soil that way. We're not digging individual holes. All right, we can fit some more. So I don't think all 100 will fit in here, but it'll be close. But if you were growing these in your landscape, they would form little side shoots. See that little bulblet there? That is going to become another tulip bulb. And probably this year I'll get 2 stems off of that one. All right, we got nearly all of them. I think we have about 12 left. So that's not bad. We can find a place to put those. Now all we need to do is cover them up with soil. And like I said, I've got plenty of that. Big pile of compost. Now this doesn't need to be filled to the top, but I'll fill it about this much, and then as time goes on, as it settles, I will add more because the more soil that's above them, the more stable they'll be when they come out. As they start to send up their flower shoots, they won't get knocked over as easily because they'll have more support from the soil and the bulbs around them. All right, so now all I need to do is the same process in the rest of these crates, in the next 4 crates. Well, we have almost 700 bulbs planted. Now I say almost because there's only a few left that wouldn't fit, so that's really good news. I did empty this crate out and just put stuff on the shelf in the shed. And actually that's the box that some of the bulbs came in. That is just as fine to use. It will obviously decompose throughout the winter, but it'll still be intact enough for them to sprout and everything. It'll be totally fine. So, and they also all have labels. Now the words that you see on the back, those are not what's in here. That's actually dahlias, but I use the other side to put the names of the tulips. And we don't have that much left. So this is the Huitenbosch. This is the one that went into the cardboard box. So there's the most of those. I don't know, 20 left of these guys. And then there's only 4 left of the Dordogne. And 11 left of the Jumbo White. I'll have no problem finding places at home in containers to put those remaining ones. So I'm not worried about that. Okay, let's head home. I'm gonna have some lunch and then we're gonna get started cleaning out the cottage garden. Just a basic clean so I can get those rudbeckia from the greenhouse. Go ahead and plant those up. And then the greenhouse will be empty with the exception of the amaryllis that we're waiting on and the remaining succulents that are still in their tiny pots. Well, that was pretty easy. So let me just quickly walk you through this cottage garden. It is still a mess, but I wanted to get up all the dead leaves, most of those, not all the dead leaves, the dead leaves of the irises. I am leaving the big laurel leaves that fall because those actually harbor insects and other stuff over the winter. So those are at the back of the border anyway. But let's start on this end. So we've got a comfrey here and a mountain mint. All of this stuff will get pruned back really hard in the very early spring. But for now, it's going to go into winter like this. We've got lots of rudbeckia in here, irises, foxglove, gazania, which is still blooming, this really pretty geranium, hardy geranium, more foxglove, more iris, lavender, feverfew, and then I popped some Rudbeckia Sahara in here, the seedlings, right in front of this Rudbeckia. which I think, you know, should have no problem. There was actually a foxglove, 3 foxgloves in a pot that I'd never planted. I thought I had planted, but apparently it's just been sitting there. So I popped those in the ground. We've got more feverfew, Dusty Miller, a little bit of sweet alyssum, and of course more irises, more lavender, foxglove again. We've got a ceanothus back there. I don't know how, that probably needs to be moved to go do something else in a sunnier spot. And then popped through here more rudbeckia. We've got yarrow that's all been cut back earlier when I took stems. We've got some salvias here, more iris, more foxglove. I also have been, and I need to grab that one, trying to pull the ivy out. There's ivy under this big laurel hedge, goes all the way down the hillside, and it encroaches on the bed frequently. So I've been going through trying to pull those out. We've got some mums here from last year. Last year, just regular decorative mums that I put in the ground. And this is what they did. They came back big and tall. More salvias, popped in rudbeckia triloba there and one over there. More iris. And we also put new iris in here as well. So we've got some space in the front here that I think in the late spring I'll put some probably supertunias to really cover this space. That way I can weed all this ground cover out, but I'm leaving the ground cover for now because that feeds the soil. So like I said, more foxglove in the back. We've got salvias that are still blooming. There's some catmint in here. Like I said, multiple different varieties of salvias that I don't even know. Some beard's tongue, more foxgloves. These are coming up from just from being, all these little seedlings in here, a lot of them are foxglove that were direct sown from previous years. And because they are biennial, the first year they grow just green, just green growth, and then they put flowers on the next year. So this coming spring, they'll flower for me. We've got a tithonia, which finally took for me. I'm so happy with this plant, and I am leaving it here. It is dropping seeds. These seeds, by the way, are extremely sharp. I tried pulling these, they're needle sharp. Anyway, I've been dropping them here intentionally so I can, in the spring, come through, get rid of the self-heal. There's also some foxglove in here, but I would love for more of these to come back and have them start really spreading through here. We've got some Gara that is, has been struggling. It was much bigger the first year it went in. Big patch of Dusty Miller, more iris. We've got a snowberry that just never has looked good, ever. Its leaves always look diseased. And then we've got 2 cotton lavenders. One is silver, and that's the same size it went in the spring. And this one is a green one, and it flowers yellow. It got huge. So clearly one of them likes this spot better than the other. More salvia, and this romantica ball gown rose that never bloomed, had been denuded by rats over and over again. I think I'm going to dig it up this winter and put it in a pot. The rats just ate the thing all down to nothing. Another snowberry back here, which is big, but again, the foliage is awful on it. And then this huge salvia. It's huge. The nice thing about the salvias that I have in this garden is there's a bunch of different varieties, and they bloom from spring all the way through to hard frost because there's different varieties. They come and go, which is really nice. Down below, there's more irises and nepeta, lamb's ear, more mums from last year that I just popped in. A huge drift of Dusty Miller again, and then we've got more sweet alyssum, irises, more salvias back here. We've got a prostrate salvia in the back there, which I love. Even though it's in the back of the border, it kind of keeps everything else from encroaching from the hillside. And then we've got a hot lips right there. And this is Scabiosa, Black Knight, letting it go to seed. It will direct sow itself here, and more of them will come up next year in this spot. So yeah, we also have a few hollyhocks that are struggling because they keep getting eaten by the rats, and then a buddleia. So like I said, in the very early spring, we will come through and hack down everything real short. The whole cottage garden will get deep cleaned and weeded and everything. And then I'll know what I have room for new stuff. But for now, I mean, you can see these salvia are still producing and there's still bees. Still bees getting some late season pollen out of them. So they're a really important source of food. So I leave these up all winter long. Now this bed here is looking rough because this is the one that's gonna get very impacted when they come do the rodent abatement. Maybe starting tomorrow, we'll see, depending on the storm. But I'm not even worried about that because I might dig this guy up. I might dig this lantana up. But the rest in here, and there's bulbs and stuff in here, I'm not worried. I'm going to completely redo this bed. It's actually super exciting to think about being able to reset the whole bed. So I'll just kind of empty it out and I'll just empty it out and then we will start fresh once all the rodent abatement work is done. And finally, green stock. We're enjoying lots of salads out of here, and the broccolis are looking great. These are broccolini. They're starting to put on little heads. And then we've got this giant salvia in the back. It's a pineapple sage. But the hummingbirds are really enjoying this. It's a very protected area for them, so they just come over in the mornings and just spend the whole couple hours here just sipping nectar from these. So yeah, this whole green stock is looking really good. It's been providing lots of yummy food that even though rats could climb it, they haven't. So I've been very much enjoying that. And the two containers here, this one looks a lot better than the other. But we've got a rudbeckia in the back, a gamma grass, a mum in the center, and then these pretty violas here. This one is looking a lot rougher. Just didn't do as well. Okay, so that's going to do it for me today, you guys. Tomorrow, the storm is supposed to come in later in the day than originally thought, so maybe we'll be able to get some work done in the morning. I'm not sure what that's going to entail yet. In the meantime, I'm going to go spend a couple hours with Buffy out in the front garden and let her enjoy herself. And it's really nice today because it's cooler. Yesterday it was almost 80 degrees. Today it's about 72 and overcast, so it's really kind of nice. Thanks again for hanging out. I hope you have a wonderful time in your garden, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.